It's time to prosecute Chris Whitty. It's time to prosecute Patrick Vallance. It's time to prosecute and criminally investigate all of those involved with what took place during the coronavirus lockdown, during the rollout of the vaccines, and during the cover-up, yes, cover-up of the Wuhan lab's release of the coronavirus. I'm going to say in this video something that is shocking. I believe this country is at war already, and I'm going to explain why our own people have acted in a treasonous way. And I'm going to say this to you. I would amend the law to bring back treason, and in the criminal charges against Whitty, Vallance and the rest, I would seek the death penalty. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this extremely important video because it relates to your future and the saving and protecting of your family. So, let's just remind ourselves, Sir Richard Dearlove, the head of MI6, the head intelligence officer in the United Kingdom, sits with Boris Johnson in Downing Street, and he says there is now credible evidence that the coronavirus was released from the Wuhan virology lab. Patrick Vallance, the scientific advisor, says do not release it. Now, let me ask you a question. Very often governments have information that they do not release, and there's a myriad of reasons for doing that. It may well be you don't want to disclose your source. It may well be that you are saving it for another day. It may well be that there's a public interest in it. There's all sorts of reasons. But let me ask you this question. What was the scientific reason for not exposing the Wuhan lab leak? I can't think of a scientific reason. I think Vallance persuaded them not to release it because he had an ulterior motive. And what ulterior motive could that be? Well, what about Fauci in the United States of America? And by the way, they should prosecute him and seek the death penalty as well. Let me tell you, he was funding the Wuhan virology lab. What? Yes, Fauci's own department were funding the research that was taking place on the coronavirus in Wuhan. Now, there is nothing wrong with an organisation funding international work. There's nothing wrong with laboratories across the world working together. It happens all the time. And there's nothing wrong, potentially, with Fauci funding the Wuhan virology lab. But when it was suggested that the lab leak was responsible for the coronavirus, Fauci demanded that we continue the lie that it came out of the fish market. He did not tell the President of the United States of America that he was funding the Wuhan virology lab. Vallance, Whitty, Fauci, all involved in the Wuhan virology lab and all trying to protect its reputation. I don't know why they were doing that, but I'm sure as hell, that we should be finding out. Let me now say something else about these people. So, when we had our plan for a pandemic, it was about getting herd immunity. Only one country implemented the British plan, and that was Sweden. Okay, where they had far less problems. We dumped our plan and followed the plan of communist China. Unbelievable. We knew for a fact, all the medical evidence was that that would be a mistake, but we did it anyway. Why? The next thing that I want to ask you is this. And I want to ask you now about vaccines. Okay, imagine now Whitty, Vallance and all the rest of them stood up and said that they were telling the truth. Imagine they stood up and said, there is a vaccine for cancer that's 100% effective and 100% safe. That is to say that if you take one injection, you can never get cancer. How many of you would take the injection? Almost none. And I'll tell you why. Because you can only lie once and people will lose trust and confidence in you. The suggestion that the coronavirus vaccine was 100% safe 100% of the time, it was nonsense. No medical procedure could possibly be that effective. Secondly, when they indemnified all of these companies, why didn't they say the reason we've done it is they've rushed through the approval for reasons of expediency? Okay, why couldn't we then say there are a percentage of people who are getting sick? And then perhaps even at the end of it, say maybe the vaccine didn't work. We haven't done that. What we have done is in the face of all evidence, we have denied that the coronavirus leaked from Wuhan. In the face of all evidence, we have claimed the vaccine is 100% safe. And in the face of all evidence, we have defended and supported Dr. Tedros, that fake doctor, communist from Ethiopia. They often say that, well, these international bodies aren't much good, but they're better than nothing. I think most of you will agree that the Sex for Food programme proved that the United Nations is worse than nothing, where you had to decide whether your 7-year-old was going to be starving or whether they were going to be handed over in exchange for a bag of grain. Moral bankruptcy. The Sex for Food programme was disgraceful. By the way, the UN has still not lifted diplomatic immunity on the perverts that ran it, so they can't be criminally prosecuted. But next, Dr. Tedros, he did not prioritise the health and safety of British people or indeed people around the world. He prioritised the reputation of communist China. And now I'm going to ask you this question. And it is a question that I would have asked Sir Richard Dearlove. Is this country at war? Are we under attack? Because I'm going to tell you, it is perfectly possible that President Xi of China unleashed the coronavirus deliberately. I don't know whether he did or he didn't, but I definitely know that our own advisors suppressed that debate. Now, what would it be that President Xi of China gains from this, as long as there's a lockdown? All of the British companies, all of the American companies were worthless. The sovereign wealth funds in the dictatorships around the world bought up our companies on the cheap. A huge transfer of wealth went from us to them. We are weaker, we are politically weaker, we have less money and less ability to control our own destiny after the coronavirus. Now, I'm not saying that President Xi launched this attack. I'm not saying it was an attack. I'm not saying we're at war, but I'm saying that in terms of a strategic defeat, we received one, and in terms of a strategic win, China received one. And all of this time, we have those scumbags, Whitty and Vallance, lying to the public through their teeth. I will tell you something, if I'd have been a Member of Parliament or a Member of the House of Lords, I'd have impeached the two of them. Oh, impeachment, yeah, okay. Well, let me tell you, in a quangocracy, I think we should bring back impeachment, where you can now call any public official to the bar of the House and get them to justify their existence before you pass a bill to remove them from office. These people prioritised defence of communist China. These people prioritised pretending that the virus came from a place it didn't, when Britain was potentially under biological attack. Whitty and Vallance sided with communist China. When Boris Johnson, and many of you like him, many of you don't like him, when Boris Johnson attempted to not lock down, he was under systematic attack and eventually removed from office. He was never going to be allowed to follow the British plan for a pandemic. Instead, he was going to be forced to destroy the economy in this country, destroy the mental health of its young people, and ensure that our national assets were channeled to China on the cheap. These people are guilty of treason. And I want to know, Lord Vallance, he got a promotion. I want to know what you said to Boris Johnson. And I want to know what you said to Sir Richard Dearlove on the occasion when you stopped our most senior intelligence officer telling the truth about where that virus came from. I don't believe that you were dishing out medical advice. I don't believe you were dishing out scientific advice. I believe you were backing your chums at the World Health Organization and their paymasters in communist China. If I got Patrick Vallance right now, I would hang him from a tree, because that man deserves the death penalty for what he has done to this country. And you know something? I sincerely hope Members of Parliament will bring it in. Let's get rid of them, the lot. Until next time, goodbye.